Hola y buenos días. Soy yo, el señor Morris. Soy el maestro de español. ¿Cómo están ustedes? Today, we'll review the animals that we've been talking about so far in this unit, and we'll go over a couple of new animals that you probably haven't even seen yet. Pero vamos a empezar con nuestra canción de saludos. Let's go ahead and get started with our greeting song. Canten conmigo. Hola, hola, buenos días, bienvenidos, ¿cómo están? Todos juntos ya estamos listos para aprender. Muy bien cantado. You guys are doing a great job. Now, as I said, we're going to go over the animals that we've been talking about so far in the unit, but instead of just seeing the pictures and seeing if you can figure it out, I want to try using a different sense today. We're going to start off by listening to the sounds that some animals make, and I want to see if you can guess the name of the animal that makes the sound in Spanish. So, escuchen todos. ¿Qué animal hace ese sonido? What animal makes that sound? Can you think of it in Spanish? Raise your hand, tell your teacher. A la una, a las dos, a las tres. Es el perro. El perro. Did you get that one right? All right. Pues, ¿qué animal hace este sonido? ¿Qué animal es? Raise your hand and tell your teacher if you think you know. En español, a la una, a las dos, a las tres. La vaca. La vaca. Okay, very good. Well, how about este animal? Do you think you know that one? Raise your hand and tell your teacher if you think you know. Teachers, a la una, a las dos, a las tres. Who said coyote? Coyote. Whoever said that, they're doing a great job. We have another animal. ¿Qué animal hace este sonido? You know, you can probably recognize it and think of the animal in English. Can you think of the name in Spanish? A la una, a las dos, a las tres. El caballo. El caballo. Very good. Well, let's see. We still have some other animals. ¿Qué animal hace este sonido? Oh, do you think you know what that one is? In Spanish? Raise your hand. Tell your teacher, a la una, a las dos, a las tres. El león. El león hace un sonido así. Yeah, it sounds like that, doesn't it? Yeah, well, that one's kind of dangerous, but este animal, ¿cuál es? Ooh. Do you hear that noise? You better know where it's coming from and get away from there. ¿Qué animal es? This is one that we talked about last time. Do you remember? It's kind of difficult. If you need to look in your Spanish notebooks, you can do that. Raise your hand and tell your teacher. A la una, a las dos, a las tres. Serpiente de cascabel. De cascabel. And cascabel are the rattlers, right? So it's a serpiente, snake of rattles. Rattlesnake. That's right. Pues, este animal, ¿cuál es? Uh-huh. Do you know what that is? Raise your hand and tell your teacher. A la una, a las dos, a las tres. Es la gallina. Es la gallina. Ah, you guys are getting pretty good at this. I think I have one more here that you should be able to recognize. You might need your Spanish notebooks to find out the name of it in Spanish. So Let's see. ¿Qué animal hace este sonido? Do you think you know what that is? Can you find the name in Spanish? Raise your hand. Tell your teacher. A la una, a las dos, a las tres. La rana. La rana. Very good. Well, you've been using your ears now to identify the different animals. Let's go ahead and use your eyes. Let's go over the other animals that we've been discussing up to now. Starting with this group, I'm going to tell you, nombra algunos mamíferos. ¿Qué animal es este? ¿Cuál es? ¿Cuál es? A la una, a las dos, a las tres. Es el gato. Muy bien, el gato. And many of you probably have those at home. I doubt if anybody has one of these at home. ¿Cómo se dice este animal? How do you call it? A la una, a las dos, a las tres. Tigre. Es un tigre. Right, and that one's pretty easy because it's kind of a cognate. Ah, y este animal, ¿cuál es? See if you can raise your hand and tell your teacher. A la una, a las dos, a las tres. Es el oso. ¿Que no? Sure it is. Este animal, ¿cuál es? Ooh, loves munching on those little twigs and leaves and branches. A la una, a las dos, a las tres. Es un castor. Es un castor. Oh, this one's real easy. Everybody raise your hand, tell your teacher. A la una, a las dos, a las tres. Elefante. Elefante. And we also looked at this, mamífero. Remember, we said this is a mamífero, right? Do you remember what it's called? Its name is kind of a cognate even, isn't it? A la una, a las dos, a las tres. Delfín. Delfín. Luego hablamos de los animales que tienen plumas. We talked about the animals that have feathers on the outside. Remember those? Birds. Y en español, I told you, nombra algunas aves. Aves are the birds, right? Well, let's look at some of those right now. This proud bird, symbol of our nation. I even know of a school down in Arizona that has this for its name and its mascot. A la una, a las dos, a las tres. Águila. Águila. Yeah. How about this one? Yeah, we could have used this sound. Hey, it makes a really distinctive sound. Quack, quack. What is it? A la una, a las dos, a las tres. El pato. El pato. And when we talked about el patito feo, we talked about this animal. That's right, with the long, beautiful neck. Started off kind of ugly, but turned into a beautiful bird. A la una, a las dos, a las tres. Cisne. Cisne. Oh, and then this animal that's always fighting with the coyote. Right? A la una, a las dos, a las tres. El correcamino. El correcaminos. Yeah. Now, the animals that we talked about in our last class were, remember we talked about peces, okay, and we just talked about a couple of those, right? Let's look at those right now. First one is this one. Ooh, doo-doo, doo-doo, Jaws, right? Well, in Spanish-speaking countries, they didn't call the movie Jaws, they called it the name of this animal. What is it? Una, dos, tres, tiburón. That's what they call the movie Jaws, tiburón. And if you go fishing, maybe you'll catch one of these babies. Yeah. You remember what it is? A la una, a las dos, a las tres. La trucha. Es una trucha. All right. Now, we also talked about animals that we said have scales on the outside, but they live on land, right? And we talked about some animals that have slimy skin on the outside, and may be born in water and live on land. Okay, and there were just a few of these. I told you, nombra algunos reptiles y anfibios. Let's look at those right now. Oh, this one, we kind of listened to the sound of this cousin. A la una, a las dos, a las tres. Serpiente. Serpiente. How about this one? It's a lizard, right? Y en español, a la una, a las dos, a las tres. Lagarto. Lagarto. This little guy. Yeah, you should have this in your notebooks. A la una, a las dos, a las tres. La tortuga. You might have one of these as a pet, but I doubt if you have one of these. Yeah, it's not an alligator, it's a crocodile, and it's almost a cognate, isn't it? A la una, a las dos, a las tres. Cocodrilo. Cocodrilo. And finally, this one, it's kind of the cousin of the frog, but it lives in more dry places. It's a toad, right? Y en español, sapo. Sapo. And I just like saying that word, sapo. Yeah. Now, let's talk about one final class of creatures that don't fit in with all of the other animals that we've been talking about because they don't have backbones like we have. Okay? All of the animals that we've talked about up to now have backbones. These creatures live in the soil or in dark places in your house. They might come to you when you have a picnic, even though you didn't invite them. They're insects and bugs. So now I'm going to tell you something new. Nombra algunos insectos y bichos. Insectos are insects, and bichos are just kind of bugs. I tell you what, let's look at a few of them right now. Well, if you have a picnic, you might get these guys coming to you, huh? What is it in English? An ant. That's right. Y en español, hormiga. Hormiga. And you might want to write that in your Spanish notebooks, right? Hormiga. You hear that the H is silent. The H is silent on that. Now, oh, you know, I went to a picnic and I didn't get any hormigas, but I got some of these coming around my watermelon. Yeah. Do you know what they are? Flies. Y en español es una mosca. Mosca. Go ahead and write that down. Mosca. Now you remember, if we put an ito on the end of something, it means a little one. So a mosca is a fly, but a mosquita, what does that sound like? Yeah, pretty cool, huh? The next one that we're going to look at is this one, saltamontes. And this has two words in it. Salta means jump, and montes means mountain. So it jumps over mountains. Saltamontes. Now this one isn't an insect because it doesn't have three body parts. This is just what? A worm. Y en español, un gusano. Go ahead and write that down. Gusano. That's a worm. Yeah. And there's one last one. This one, it carries its house on its back. Yeah, it kind of leaves a trail whenever it goes somewhere. And this one is called el caracol. El caracol. Go ahead and write that down in your notebooks. That's also the name of a famous Mayan observatory down in Mexico because it's shaped kind of like a caracol. I tell you what, we've done a lot of things today, and I think you guys need to relax with some physical activity. So let's go ahead and look at our TPR once again. Everybody get ready y presten atención y participen todos. Muy bien. Today, to review all of the TPR things that we've been doing, instead of me telling all of you what to do, I was thinking maybe students here could tell all of us what to do. Does anybody have something you'd like to try to tell us to do? Anybody want to try? Okay. Emilia. Párate. Y siéntate en la mesa. Muy bien. Aquí está la mesa. Siéntate en la mesa. Y llore. Ay, 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 Emilia. Does anybody else have something that they think they'd like to try to say? Do you want to try? I guess there's a couple of people there to think about. Joseph, you want to try? Párate. Or párense. Siéntese en el piso. Voltéense. Y lloren. Siéntense en el piso, voltéense y lloren. Well, thank you. You make me look ridiculous. Anybody else? Anybody else want to try? Okay. Well, I hope you guys get a chance to practice this, and there's one more that I would like to show you. Emilia es mi hija. This is my daughter. So one of the things that I can tell her to say, the TPR, is dame un beso. Yeah. Thanks a lot, guys. I hope you get a chance to keep practicing this. That's all we have time for today. So muchas gracias. And what do you think we should say to them?
Adios.
Adios. Maybe you guys can try that out in your classroom. See if you can tell your other students in your classroom, or maybe your teacher, some of the commands from TPR. I tell you what, let's go ahead and look at our activity sheet for today. It's not so much a sheet to be completed as it is a game. It's called Juego de Cartas. Okay, and if you get them, what we've done is we've put the 3 cards out. And remember, it starts with the word, like this one, mosca. Then you have the word and the picture, mosca, and there's the picture. And then you have just the picture. So you can try putting the 3 cards together until you get comfortable and you know that the word and the picture match up. And then take out the middle one and try to match them up. Maybe you can play concentration or different matching games or go fish. Any games that you guys can think of using the cards is a good way to review. And you can see that we have a lot of different cards, the different animals and the different groups that we've been talking about. So you can use those and make up your own cards. Today, we reviewed the animals that we'd already talked about. Remember, we listened to them? And then we talked about various bugs, bichos, y insectos, insects. Okay, and there's a little bit of difference. That's why I wanted to make sure you realize that. Now, next class, we'll play Loteria to review everything that we've been talking about so far in this unit. So be sure to be here for that, okay? And try to review all of those things. Try to maybe make up individual cards and classify them under the different groups they belong to. And see if you can come up with the names of other animals. Maybe you can find them in a Spanish-English notebook in your classroom, okay? Go ahead and review with your friends. We'll review with Loteria next time. Pero saben que ya es hora de despedirnos. It's time for our goodbye song. Today, let's sing El Rancho Grande, okay? And this is the one where you can go, aha! So I want to hear everybody go, aha! Everybody practice once, aha! Okay. Allá en el Rancho Grande, allá donde vivía, ¡ajá! Había una rancherita que alegre me decía, que alegre me decía. Do it again. ¡Ajá! Te voy a hacer tus calzones como los que usa ranchero. Te los comienzo de lana, te los acabo de cuero. Allá en el Rancho Grande. And you guys can practice the aha on your playgrounds today. Until our next class, adios y hasta luego. Aha! Allá en el